Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. So, I am getting ready to move. I think I said that in a few videos now, and I'm trying to clean up the shop. I'm getting rid of some tools. I just sold my table saw, which hurt. I just sold my joiner. I just sold my dust collector. And I have a bunch of scraps that I want to do something with as well. So I have a pile here on the bench, and I need a cutting board. Simple thing, but mine kind of fell apart, so I need a new one. And I'm just looking at these scraps, and I think I can get something out of this. We're gonna have to rip this one down, so this one will become the same thickness as this one. I think if we go something like this, walnut, I don't know what this wood is, cherry, and this is another piece of, I don't know, you can see this was a piece of furniture. It's a light wood, it's very dense, and it's very hard. If anybody knows what this is, let me know. Let's put it there in the middle with another piece of cherry, and then this again, and the walnut. And I think when I get these all cut down, this will be about the right size for a cutting board. So let's go downstairs and get these all milled up. Now I do still have a joiner. You might remember it from a few years ago. It's a little bench chop 6-inch joiner. It's not that good, but it's fine for boards this size. I kept my planer, and I have another table saw that I'm going to do a video on. It's very old, it's kind of neat, but again, it's good enough to do a little project like this. So let's go down to the basement. Alright guys, just like last week's video where we dimensioned lumber, we're going to go joiner for the face, joiner for an edge. We're going to then go to the planer to thickness it, and then go to the table saw for final rip. And actually we'll cut them all to the same length too. But first is the jointer. Now, obviously, this is quite a difference from my last joiner, but this will do the job. So let's get a face jointed here. Okay, I'm going to do this to the rest of the boards, and then I'll see you at the planer. Alright guys, I've got all the boards here. We have a reference face and a reference edge on each board. Now what we want to do is just get them all to the same thickness so we can glue them up. This is going to get a little loud. My dust collector is gone. I put a hose on the end of this thing. It might blow the hose right off. This DeWalt DW735 has its own blower in it. I've ordered some parts to put a bag on this so it's its own dust collector. I'm waiting on some parts to come in. When they come in, I'll film it, show you how it's going to be. But right now, we might start sending chips all over the place, but you know, time will tell. Let's see. Okay, at this point, 3 of them are good. 2 more still have a little to go. We can see we still got some finish to get off of this one. So I gotta keep putting them all through because I want them all to be the same thickness. So even though I've got 3 of them dimensioned where I want them, the other 2 need more, so they all get more. So let's go. Okay, we finally got good, flat boards that are all now the same exact thickness. So the next step's the table saw to rip the final edge squares so we can glue these up. All right guys, welcome to the table saw. This is my Craftsman Model 80. It's a 7-inch tilting top table saw. What we have now is a reference face, a reference edge, and then the other face has been planed parallel to the reference face. Now what we want to do is just true up this last edge. So each one of these cuts will be a different width. I'm going to keep them as wide as I can, so I'll be moving the fence every time. And obviously, unfortunately, in this vintage, there is no dust collection on this baby. And it makes a mess. There we have it, guys. We now have 5 boards that are milled perfectly flat to one another and true, and this will be a very good glue up. So let's go upstairs and glue it up. Okay guys, we are upstairs, and here is my cutting board. I don't know if this is going to work, but the very observant of you will notice that I added 2 pieces of cherry near the middle. What happened was, originally we were going to have these 2 pieces here, but as it turns out, my walnut is all sapwood on the middle, and it's light, and this is light, so I wanted something dark here. So I took the cherry that we were originally using, moved it out to the walnut, put these 2 pieces next to the cherry, and then found a piece of scrap cherry that just happened to be this long, and you know, it was this, and I just ripped it in half and added it right there. It gave me a little more thickness to the board, which I like. And now all we have to do is do a little bit of trimming of these 4 pieces, because as you can see, these are way too high. So let's mark these for a cut. I thought I marked one of them. Did not mark this one, so let's mark this one. X. What I'm going to do is just go to the bandsaw right here and trip these down right there. I'll bring the phone over and record that real quick for you. Alright, I'm trying to stay out of your way. Alright, we now have all of our boards exactly where I want them. And as you can see, we have a little bit of height here problem, and there's a little bit of gap here and here because these boards were just rough cut on the bandsaw. So we got to clean them up a little bit, and we can do that right here at the bench. This one's a little high, so let's start with bringing him down a little bit. Okay guys, this guy here, I've got him close enough now. We can finish him with sanding. This one here we can get with sanding as well. This one has a saw mark from the table saw that I want to clean up. Alright, let's glue this baby up. Okay guys, we're over here at the end of the bench. I've got it test glued up. I will put 2 more on the top here like this. This is not an easy glue up. Things are trying to move and get crooked on me, and I've got this caul on the top here to try to keep it straight, but these things want to bounce all over the place, as a bunch of small things will want to do. So we're going to go slow and try to get this set up. I think this will work. We may have to run this guy through the planer a few times, but well, I got this here. I'm going to put some wax all over the bottom of this, just in case some squeeze out gets on it, we can get it back off. Titebond 3, waterproof. This is going to be in the sink, you know, we want to use the right glue. Whoa. Typon, you make great glue, you make crappy bottles. I had to spend a couple of minutes getting this bottle all unglued. I haven't used this glue in probably 3 weeks or a month, and you know, they just get all seized up. Give it a little rub. This little rub, believe it or not, will start the process of getting everything sticking. There's a chip in that corner there, so I'm going to go long there because we got extra on this side. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do before I get this too tight is get this caul across the top. Plenty of wax on there. What I'm looking for is to see that my bottoms are touching the metal on the clamp. As we know, we put these through our planer, and when we put them through our planer, those bottoms were all true. So in theory, they should, if they sit flat against the metal bar, most of our work is going to be on this top side. Now I'm just going to shore these up. I'm noticing that my gaps are closing nicely. And now I'm going to bring 2 more clamps in on the top side. All right, we're glued up. We'll come back in the morning. We'll see how we did. I'm sure that, obviously we had to cut both ends. I'm going to round the corners and probably put a round over on both sides because this board will be used on either side. So that'll be tomorrow when the glue's dry. We'll see you then. Okay guys, it's the next day. Let's get this thing out of the clamps. Never actually had one of these get caught in there before. Alright, it's a bit wonky, it's a bit wobbly, but we kind of expected that. I got this Harbor Freight Quinn scraper here. We're going to get rid of the glue. Let's just hit it with some sandpaper, see how that does. You know what guys, I'm going to run it through the planer downstairs. She's going to get a little thin, but we're going to have to run it through the planer. I'm also going to cut these ends off square while I'm down there. I'll bring the phone and film it for you. Okay guys, we're back upstairs. We're nice and square now. We're smooth. We are right at 1/2 inch thick, which I wouldn't want to go any thinner than that. Like I said, for me it's fine. I'm going to say my old one was about 3/8, so we're doing good there. We are 12 3/4 by just under 9 1/2. Fine size for me. Like I said, make a cutting board any size you want. There really are no rules. This is bigger than my old one, so this is good for me. I'm starting with 80 grit. I'm going to do 80. This Diablo pack you get at the Home Depot, I like it. It's got 80, 120, 180, 220, and 400. I'm probably going to do 80 and 120 and call it good. And then I'm going to put some of this cutting board oil, Clark's cutting board oil. It showed up today. Perfect timing. I got it at Amazon. I'll put a link to it down below in case anybody needs it. Alright, I'm going to do the sanding really quick. I'll start it, I'll edit the middle out, and I'll show you finish it. It's going to be just me going through grits. Alright guys, I've been through 120 grit. Nice and sanded. What I'm going to do is round the 4 corners over. I'm just taking this funnel, just getting it flush. I really don't know what this radius is. It really doesn't matter. I just want to give it a curve. Getting a lot of doesn't matter here, guys, and it's basically true. I'm just making this out of scraps to the size that the scraps, dictated. Obviously if you're making a cutting board for somebody and it's got to be a right size, you got to get the right materials to make the board the size you need to make it. This is a great tool. Hey everybody, okay, it's the next day again. I've done the corners, they're rounded. What I want to do is just round the edges over on both sides now. I've done some test cuts, I got the router loaded up. Let's go around. Okay, one side rounded over nicely. Okay, and as you hopefully can see, we have it nicely rounded over on both sides. So this board now can be used either like that or like that. It doesn't need any finger holders here. This doesn't weigh anything. My old one didn't. My old one had a handle. This one doesn't have the handle. I'm going to sand it some more. I'll do that off camera. You've already seen me sand. And then we'll come back. I'll read the instructions on this stuff. We'll put it on. We'll be done with this. Alright guys, I read the instructions on the bottle. Apparently this is a 3-step process, which is kind of a joke. they want you to buy wax and, you know, a whole 3-step conditioner thing. All we need is the oil, which they're calling step 2. And the instructions say, put a liberal amount on, let sit 2 hours, wipe off. If it's the first time, repeat several hours through the first day. So we will start with coat number 1. Microfiber cloth is good for this. You know, these used to be a free item at Harbor Freight. I got a bunch of them. But now I think they cost a couple bucks, which still isn't that bad. So I'm just going to put a liberal amount on here and rub it in. Alright, it says let it sit for a couple of hours, so we'll let it sit there for a couple of hours. Looks like there's enough to do this several times in this thing, which is nice. So we'll come back in a couple hours, wipe it down, and do it again. Probably repeat 3 or 4 times throughout the day. Alright everybody, welcome back. It's been a couple of days. I've put 3 coats now of this Clark's cutting board oil. I kind of like it. It's dried now. I think it's ready to use. You know, this stuff was 15 and change for the bottle, and it looks like I used about a quarter of it. So about $4 worth of oil on this. You know, I don't know that you needed to do 3 coats. I kind of followed the instructions. It's in great shape. Smells nice. It's got orange oil in there with the carnauba wax and mineral spirits. So it's all food safe. It's covered. It's ready to use. I'm going to take it in the kitchen. I'll show you a little bit of cutting up something right now. We'll put that in here. Alright, so you can see it works fine. This is a face cutting board, meaning it's face, you know, the face of the board here. I'm going to do one with the edge grain, and then I'm going to do one with end grain, because those are the 3 different types of cutting boards. This is probably the easiest of them, or at least the least amount of material goes into this. These are pretty cheap to make. This is all scrap. One thing I do want to note, for those of you that might notice here, when I was laying, I went with a walnut on the outside. Look what I did. I got the thick piece of cherry here, and then I got the thick piece of cherry on the inside here. Somehow doing the glue up, I mixed my pattern up. Probably won't notice it. It is what it is. It's going to be in my kitchen. I don't care. I wouldn't sell this like this because I screwed up the pattern, although, you know, it's a random pattern, so it probably doesn't matter. But anyway, I hope you like this. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.